Michael, oh my God, what is this? God help me, oh, Zara! Ah!
Hello, friends. Before we dive into this captivating story filled with deep lessons and powerful emotions, I have a small favour to ask. If you love engaging stories that inspire, entertain, and make you think, then this channel is just for you. Please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Kindly tell us where you are watching from. God bless you. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Let's begin.
The women of Yumaki's village always said that if you wanted to know what was happening in every household, you didn't need to visit the town square or listen to the elders. All you had to do was sit in Rebecca's salon for an hour. Rebecca was the kind of woman who could make even a stranger feel comfortable within minutes. She had a way of twisting words as skillfully as she twisted hair, and her hands worked magic with braids and weaves. But while she was known for her beauty, intelligence, and talent in the kitchen, her mouth defined her the most. She was a chronic gossip. First, people laughed it off. She was just Rebecca, the talkative stylist. But over time, the things she said had consequences, serious ones. One afternoon, as the harmattan winds blew dust through the village, Rebecca's salon was buzzing as usual. The smell of coconut oil and hair cream filled the air, and the rhythmic tugging of hair was accompanied by hushed conversations.
Rebecca, tighten my braids small.
Sarah, a young widow, winced as Rebecca pulled her hair.
Ah, my sister, do you want to look beautiful or not?
Rebecca chuckled, patting Sarah's head before leaning closer.
By the way, did you hear what happened between Nnamdi and his parents? Ah, wow.
Nnamdi was Rebecca's serious boyfriend, the man who wants to marry her. They were organizing their marriage introduction ceremony at this time, and Rebecca was spreading the gossip. The other women in the salon perked up, pretending not to listen as they fiddled with their scarves or examined their nails. Sarah raised a brow. What happened? Rebecca's voice dropped to a whisper, but it was the kind of whisper that still carried across the room.
His mother had him for another man years ago. I heard it was someone who knows the family well. Can you imagine? If not that the man was foolishly in love with her, he would have left her long ago. But let me not talk, before they will say Rebecca is talking about her future mother-in-law. I no one here say I too they talk too much.
She smirked, pretending to focus on Sarah's hair, but the damage had already been done. 2 days later, the entire village was buzzing with whispers about Nnamdi's parents. His father confronted his wife, demanding answers, and for the first time in decades, their marriage teetered on the edge of collapse. It didn't take long for the truth to unravel, not the truth of the accusation, but the truth of who had spread it. Nnamdi was furious. His love for Rebecca had been strong enough to overlook many things, but this was too much. Confrontation happened in the salon in front of everyone. Rebecca! His voice was like thunder as he stormed into the shop, his face contorted with rage. The women scattered, their heads ducked as they hurried away, not wanting to be caught in the crossfire. Rebecca, startled, dropped the comb she had been using.
Nnamdi, what? Why are you shouting?
You ruined my family, he roared. Do you know the damage you've done? My father almost threw my mother out because of your lies. Rebecca scoffed, folding her arms.
Lies? I only said what I heard, though.
What you heard. Nnamdi cut her off, his hands trembling with fury. You didn't think to verify? You just opened that your sharp mouth and destroyed lives? She swallowed, suddenly aware of the many eyes watching. I cannot marry you, Rebecca, Nnamdi said, his voice quieter now but no less firm. Not after this. And just like that, the wedding was off. It wasn't the first time Rebecca's words had caused trouble, but it was the worst. From that day on, people stopped calling her just Rebecca, the beautiful hairstylist. She became Rebecca, the Ashiri hairstylist, the gossip who could not be trusted. Yet, even as the whispers about her own disgrace spread, Rebecca did not change. And the consequences of her words were far from over. Rebecca's beauty remained undeniable, her intelligence sharp, and her hands still skillful with hair. But none of these mattered anymore. Her name carried a weight in Yuma Keys, a weight that no man wanted to bear. The story of how she ruined her own wedding spread far beyond the village. Suitors who once lined up, eager to win her heart, now avoided her like a plague. Some would show interest at first, enchanted by her charm and cooking skills, but the moment they asked about her in the village, the response was always the same.
Rebecca, they are serious stylists. Ah, my brother, if you want peace in your life, run!
And so they ran. One by one, they vanished, finding wives elsewhere, leaving Rebecca to wonder why she, the most beautiful and skilled woman in Yuma Keys, remained unmarried while even the least attractive girls were taken. But if the whispers about her hurt her, she never showed it. Instead, she continued doing what she did best, talking. Her gossip grew bolder, more calculated. Now, she didn't just spread rumors from what she overheard. She made it a point to find things out, even if it meant invading people's privacy. When her customers sat in her chair, relaxed and unsuspecting, she would peek over their shoulders as they typed on their phones, her sharp eyes skimming through their messages. If a customer laughed while texting, Rebecca would casually ask,
Ah, what's making you smile like that? I hope it's not another man chasing your husband. Oh.
She would say it as a joke, but her real intention was to plant doubt, to dig for information. If a woman received a bank alert while getting her hair done, Rebecca would glance at the phone and store the information in her mind. Later, she would whisper to another customer,
Do you know that her dad just received 50,000 naira today? And they say her husband doesn't give her money. Maybe she's getting it from another special sponsor. Who knows?
The more she talked, the more people distrusted her. Women began coming to her salon less and less, afraid that their secrets would become tomorrow's village gossip. Some even started doing their hair themselves or traveling to the next town just to avoid her. Till Rebecca refused to change. One day during the Christmas celebration, a young rich and handsome man called Fide arrived in the village with his beautiful younger sister Zara in tow. The village was filled with excitement, and all eyes turned to the grand car as it pulled up near Rebecca's hair salon. Inside the salon, Rebecca was busy braiding a customer's hair when Fide first saw her. In that very moment, he felt a strong pull toward her. He began visiting Rebecca both at her home and in the saloon. The villagers noticed his interest in Rebecca and warned him about Rebecca. Despite the whispers and warnings from the villagers about her constant gossip, Fide declared,
I believe she can change. I will take her to the city and I know she will become a wonderful wife.
Soon, Fide and Rebecca were married and they moved to the city together. Fide promised Rebecca, saying,
You will be my housewife. I am rich and I can provide for you in every way.
Rebecca was happy and full of hope as she stepped into this new life. In the spacious city apartment, Rebecca, Fide, and Zara formed one happy family. Rebecca and Zara spent many hours together, chatting and laughing, often gossiping about people they knew. Zara's boyfriend, Gabriel, would visit now and then, and his presence always brightened the mood at home. However, trouble was lurking around the corner. In the same estate, a neighbor named Daniel had long admired Zara and wished to marry her. Yet, Zara always told him,
I am in a serious relationship. I love my Gabriel. I will marry him soon.
One day, Rebecca approached Daniel in the estate hallway. With a sly smile, she said,
Daniel, my brother, you must know that Zara loves you. She doesn't want to marry you because Gabriel is always threatening her. She's afraid of him.
Later, when Gabriel visited the apartment, Rebecca told him,
Gabriel, there's something I need to tell you because I don't like when I see bad, I remove my face. Daniel and Zara, they were seen together. I think they're having an affair.
Gabriel's eyes widened with shock.
That can't be true, Rebecca. Sarah loves me,
He protested. Rebecca leaned in and promised,
Okay, don't worry. Next time, when I see them together in my house, I'll call you immediately. Don't just worry.
Determined to cause trouble, Rebecca planned her next move. One evening, she invited Daniel over to the house. After Daniel arrived, Rebecca left him and Zara alone in the sitting room and went into her room. Then, from the bedroom, she picked up the phone, called Gabriel, and said in a low, urgent voice,
Hello, Gabriel. Where are you? Come fast, fast. They're in my parlor now. Come. Yes, come fast.
Gabriel wasted no time. He drove to the house as fast as he could. When he arrived, he found Zara sitting quietly with Daniel. Confusion and anger filled his heart. "What is going on here?" Gabriel demanded, his voice rising in frustration. Soon, an argument broke out in the living room. Words were exchanged, voices were raised, and soon Gabriel, hurt and angry, stormed out of the house. In the chaos, Zara, tears streaming down her face, ran out of the apartment.
Gabriel, wait. Let me explain. I did nothing wrong.
She called out desperately. That very moment, as she ran across the street in a hurry, she did not see the car coming around the corner. The vehicle hit her suddenly, and Zara collapsed on the pavement. In that heavy silence, as the evening carried the sound of distant sirens, the true cost of Rebecca's careless gossip began to show its dark side. The evening was dark and cold when the accident happened. Daniel, who had just been arguing in the house moments before, rushed outside and froze at the sight. He saw Zara lying on the pavement, her body crumpled and still. Beside him, Gabriel stood in shock, his face pale and his eyes wide with disbelief. For a long, silent moment, neither man could move or speak. Gabriel's heart pounded in his chest as he reached out a trembling hand, as if hoping to find that Zara was still with him. Daniel's mind raced with guilt and horror, wondering if he had played a part in this terrible accident simply by being near. The sound of the car's engine fading away mingled with the distant wail of sirens as the gravity of what had just happened settled over them both. Across the street, Rebecca had been watching from the window. In that split second, her face drained of color. The thrill of stirring up trouble vanished as she witnessed the life shatter before her eyes. Tears welled up in her eyes, and a cold, sinking feeling of regret and fear gripped her heart. She had never imagined that her careless words would lead to such a tragedy. With shaking hands, she stepped out into the night, not daring to believe that the very gossip she thrived on could have such painful consequences. Later, in the sterile, quiet halls of the hospital, Fide sat alone in the waiting area. His handsome face, usually filled with confidence and charm, was now creased with worry and grief. He could not bear the thought of losing Zara, his little sister, the only family he truly had left. Every minute that passed felt like an eternity, and his mind swirled with unanswered questions about the accident and the dark undertones that might have led to it. Finally, a doctor emerged from one of the treatment rooms. His eyes were tired and his steps heavy with sorrow. Fide stood up, desperate for news, and approached him. The doctor looked down at Fide with a deep sadness in his eyes and said softly, "We lost her." In that moment, Fide broke down. Tears streamed down his face as he sank into a chair, his cries filling the quiet corridor. The sound of his grief echoed like a painful reminder of the cost of broken trust and careless words. All the promises of a bright future seemed to vanish, replaced by a harsh reality that no one had ever wanted. Over the next few weeks, Rebecca stayed very quiet. She hardly spoke and never told her husband about her part in Zara's death. Then, one night, something strange happened. Rebecca sat alone in the living room when she heard a soft sound. She looked up slowly and saw a dark figure standing by the window. As the moonlight filled the room, she saw that the figure looked just like Zara. The ghost wore an old white dress, and its eyes were full of deep sadness and anger. It did not smile or move playfully, it just stood there and looked at her. "Rebecca," the ghost said in a low, sorrowful voice. Its tone was heavy with hurt. Rebecca's eyes went wide with fear. For a moment, she could not speak. Then, she jumped up so fast that she knocked over a small table.
Quicker! Oh my God! What is this? God help me, oh, Zara! Ah!
She stuttered, backing away as if she had seen a wild animal. Her hands trembled and she nearly tripped over her own feet. In her panic, she ducked behind the sofa and whispered, "Please, please go away." The ghost did not leave. slowly moved closer, its eyes fixed on Rebecca. The look in those eyes was so serious that Rebecca felt as if the weight of the whole world was on her shoulders. Rebecca ran out of the house, shouting like a mad woman. But she never told her husband what was happening to her. Later that week, during a quiet Sunday service at church, Rebecca sat near the back, trying to focus on the pastor's words. Suddenly, a cold breeze passed by her and she turned slowly. There, near the stained glass window, stood Zara's ghost once again. This time, the ghost was so close that Rebecca could see the tears and anger in its eyes. Her face turned pale, and she clutched her prayer book so tightly that her knuckles went white. Over the next few weeks, Zara's ghost continued to haunt Rebecca. Every night, when Rebecca sat in her living room, she would see the sorrowful, angry face of Zara in a dark corner. In the busy market, between stalls of fruits and vegetables, Rebecca would catch a glimpse of the ghost standing silently among the crowd. Even in church, as she tried to pray, the ghost of Zara would appear in a far corner, watching her with deep, accusing eyes. The weight of guilt and fear grew too heavy for Rebecca to bear. One night, trembling and with tears streaming down her face, Rebecca finally decided she could not keep her secret any longer. She found her husband, Fide, in their quiet living room. With a broken voice, she confessed,
Fide, I've done terrible things. My gossip has hurt our family and cost us Zara. I never meant it to go this far.
Fide's face turned red with anger.
How could you, Rebecca? Your careless word ruined my life and hurt my dear sister.
He shouted, his voice echoing in the silent room. For a long time, Fide could only scream and cry out in pain at what had been done. Days passed, and though Fide's anger burned fiercely at first, he could no longer ignore the torment that Zara's ghost was causing Rebecca. He saw how her eyes filled with fear every time the ghost appeared. Slowly, his anger softened into sorrow and resolve.
I cannot lose you too, Rebecca,
Fide said one evening, his voice low and steady. We must make things right. Together, Rebecca and Fide went to see Pastor Aaron at the local church. In a quiet, private room, they poured out their hearts. Rebecca confessed every hurtful word and every careless secret that had escaped her lips. Pastor Aaron listened kindly, and after a long moment of silence, he prayed for Rebecca. You must show your true remorse, Pastor Aaron said gently. Do not just repent with words. Go to Zara's grave and beg her forgiveness. That night, under a soft, cool sky, Rebecca and Fide drove to the cemetery. At a small, humble grave marked with Zara's name, they knelt together. With a shaking voice, Rebecca cried out,
Please forgive me. Zara, I'm sorry for all I've done. I'm sorry for all I've done. I'm going to change. Please forgive me.
Fide joined her, whispering his own pleas for mercy. In the stillness that followed, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves around the grave. For a brief moment, Rebecca saw a soft light hover over the headstone, a sign that she felt deep in her heart that Zara had forgiven her. It was the last time she saw Zara's ghost. From that day on, Rebecca changed completely. She never gossiped again. Instead, she gave her life to Christ. She began working at the church and teaching everyone about the dangers of careless words. In her new life, she always remembered the Bible verse from Ephesians 4 verse 29. Let no corrupt talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Rebecca's journey from pain to redemption became a lesson for all, and her life in the house of God shone as a beacon of hope and warning for those who might misuse their words.